Let's talk about the good and bad of living in Canton, Georgia. You're either thinking about living in Canton specifically, or you're doing a lot of research and wondering if this is the best option for you. I'll tell you all the reasons that I love Canton. I live here, by the way, and perhaps even more important, the cons of living here, which might be deal breakers for you. So stick around, make sure that you know exactly what you're gonna get into. Canton is located about 45 minutes to an hour north of Atlanta. You'll head up I-75 and then jump on 575. I think what's great about this place is that it's a really good blend of the rural and the suburban, so you're never too far away from Target, a great steakhouse, or a cow. Now, let's get into the pros. Canton's downtown has been known to be pretty sleepy. However, there has been a lot of additions over the past couple of years. There are new restaurants like B&B Social, which is a kind of a bar pub style place with games like duck pin bowling or darts, video games, things like that. It's supposed to be a more active eating experience. Pops is like a fancy counter service Italian place. You order at the counter, you get your own napkins and silverware. It's actually plasticware. It looks really fancy though. But the food is definitely sit down quality. It's actually a little disorienting because the food is so good, you keep looking around for the waiter to show up and refill your drink. And then there's La Cantina on Main, which is the new Mexican place. I haven't been there yet. It's definitely on the list. Add to that some of the established staples like Local on North, Queenie's, Downtown Kitchen, as well as events like First Fridays where there's live music, tons of food trucks. Downtown Canton is just becoming more of a rising hotspot around here. Okay, so I never talk about downtown Canton without talking about the Mill on Etowah. This is actually right across the street and has quickly become a local favorite. They turned this old industrial complex into a really cool event space. It's got shops and restaurants, there's a green space, and there's always something happening out there, whether it's a local band or they're showing the Georgia football game, or a community event like a Christmas party or a farmer's market. Reformation Brewery is there, Nava Taqueria, Magnolia Villa, Giggle Monster Donuts, Whitetail Coffee, and boutique shops like Cotton Mail Exchange, where they have this large warehouse space filled with booths from local vendors for home decor, woodworking, jams, honey, clothes, crafts, olive oil, you name it. Cherokee County does an excellent job with their parks, both developing them and maintaining them. Cherokee Veterans Park is on the northwest side off of Highway 20. This is a big park with lots of green space, walking paths, there's a playground, there's an indoor rec center with pickleball courts and rock climbing. And then they host big events here, like markets and festivals, things like that. During the holidays, they fill it with Christmas lights, and it's always a great time to drive through. We do it every single year. J.B. Owens is a small park off of Hickory Road, but again, it's well built and it's absolutely beautiful. There's green space, there's walking paths, playground. There's also a path that takes you back to a creek with some really fun nature walks back there. Off of Riverstone Parkway on the north side are what I consider the two best and my favorite parks around here, Heritage Park and Etowah River Park. Etowah River Park is amazing. It's absolutely huge, tons of parking, and they have a lot of community events here like Riverfest and the Rocking Wing Festival. All these food vendors come out and they serve all, their chicken wings. Everybody votes, and it'll end up being a full line of rock and roll cover bands while they're eating. And then I always group Heritage Park in with this one because they are connected by a long walking path. If you're looking for something longer than a couple miles, then this would be a great option for you. Blankets Creek is on the south side off of Sixes Road. This is a series of mountain bike trails and is well known by bikers kind of all in the southeast. If you're into mountain biking, look for a place close by. And then finally, they're developing a new park in the Hickory Flat area, close to where East Cherokee meets 140. This looks like an amazing addition with amphitheater, rec center, dog park, which Canton desperately needs. It won't be done for another couple of years, but it's going to be an awesome addition to the city. Canton is a bit more removed, but has access to good roads that will get you to all of these surrounding communities. Woodstock, Marietta, Kennesaw are all going to be to the south along 575. You can get to Alfred and Roswell really easily via 140. Cumming is to the east via Highway 20. This could be a 5-minute drive to get to Cumming depending on where in Canton you are, but really to get to anything worth doing in Cumming is probably going to be about a 30 to 40-minute drive. Cartersville is to the west, again off of Highway 20, and again about a 30 to 40-minute drive. And then you have small town America to the north. Waleska and Ball Ground are going to be your direct neighbors. There's not much in Waleska, but downtown Ball Ground is very cute. As you keep traveling north, you're going to hit Jasper, Ellijay, eventually Blue Ridge. These are all small mountain towns. They all have a nice city center, some wineries around, some apple orchards, and this is where the Blue Ridge mountain system starts, so there's some great hiking up there. Personally, I think the location is great. It's just as easy for me to get to fancy shopping in Alpharetta as it is to get to a winery in the Blue Ridge Mountains. If you need help dialing in the best area for you, go ahead and reach out to me. My name is Joel. I'm a local realtor here in the metro Atlanta area. My information is below in the description. You're also going to see it right here at the bottom of the screen. I help clients relocate here all the time. Call, text, or email. I'll be able to help you figure out which area or areas are going to work best for you. Always happy just to answer questions or have a conversation. Canton is really booming right now and fast. This used to be the sticks, and for anyone that hasn't been here in a minute, they probably still consider it very rural and open until they come up here and see it for themselves, especially in the Hickory Flat area. I think there are 4 new construction communities I can think of right now that are being built, and that's 4 more than the 2 that they just finished last year and the 3 that they finished the year before that. And honestly, this is one of the reasons that I wanted to move here. I wanted to get in on the ground floor. Well, maybe like the 2nd floor, and watch the place develop around me and my property value go up and up and up. Now, the development isn't for everyone, and I get that. More on that later. Not only are they building more housing, but they're widening roads and adding infrastructure. Highway 20 up by Canton Marketplace, this used to be 1 lane in each direction. Now it's 3 lanes on each side at some spots. They're adding new development with a Jersey Mike's, a Burn Boot Camp, Tropical Smoothie, and Sucheros. I've never actually had Sucheros. I'm a Chipotle guy myself, so I'm excited for this one. Down the road, they built a Popeyes and a Starbucks, which if you don't know the Starbucks effect, give that a Google. They have actually done studies of how a Starbucks is a huge indicator of growth and increasing home values. Obligatory disclaimer that my code of ethics impedes me from speaking about safety as my own opinion. There's a long history of realtors steering folks towards or away from certain towns under the guise of safety. What I will do is cite data from third-party sources, so if something happens, please don't sue me. First, we're looking at safewise.com. Holly Springs is going to be named the #1 safest city in Georgia. So a quick note about Holly Springs and what I'm talking about. Yes, it is its own city. It has its own mayor. However, it's so incredibly small, and if you look at its boundaries compared with Canton's, we're just gonna call it part of Canton. Sorry if you take offense, Holly Springs people, but you're just gonna be part of Canton. And I can say that. I live in Holly Springs, technically. So while Safewise doesn't name Canton specifically, we're going to give it some of that credit. As for Canton, Neighborhood Scout says Canton has an overall crime rate of 9 per 1,000 residents, making the crime rate here near the average for all cities and towns of all sizes in America. According to our analysis of FBI crime data, your chance of becoming a victim of crime in Canton is 1 in 107. How does Canton fare compared to other communities in Georgia of all population sizes? Canton's crime rate is lower than approximately 56% of Georgia communities. And then we'll throw in Holly Springs for good measure here. Neighborhood Scout says your chance of becoming a victim in Holly Springs is 1 in 212 based on the total crime rate. In America overall, your chance of becoming a victim of crime is 1 in 44. Additionally, Neighborhood Scout analyzed all cities and towns in America with a similar population size to Holly Springs, and we found that the crime rate in Holly Springs is one of the lowest in the nation for its size. This means Holly Springs is one of the safest places in America in which to live for its size. A very important finding. As always, make sure to do your own research. Schools in Georgia are divided by the county lines, which means schools in Canton are going to be part of the Cherokee County Schools system, which is going to be one of the top 10 school districts in the Atlanta area, according to niche.com. Now, some of the cities are going to operate a single high school outside of the county system, like Marietta, Beaufort, Decatur. So if we take those out of the data, then Cherokee County actually comes in at top 5. Now, another disclaimer, I'm going to talk about schools from the perspective of third-party data sites. We're looking at the letter grade from niche.com and the rating out of 10 from greatschools.org. Sequoia is our first Canton high school and is located on the south side, close to the Woodstock line. It gets an A- from niche.com and an 8 out of 10 on greatschools.org. Cherokee High School is in the northwest area of Canton. It gets a B+ on niche.com and a 6 out of 10 on greatschools.org. Now, this school tends to get a bad rap, but a quick note that this usually comes from people who don't have kids that go to this school. I've only heard good things from parents who have kids that actually attend here, and this, I think, is reflected in the reviews on niche.com. Also of note is that they're building an entirely new Cherokee High School, and it's really coming along, actually, set to open fall of 2026. Maybe a fresh environment will turn some of those numbers around. Lastly is Creekview High, located in the northeast section of Canton. It gets an A- on niche.com and an 8 out of 10 on greatschools.org. As always, don't take my word as gospel, but rather make sure that you know what's most important to you and your family so that you can make the best decision for you guys. There's a really good mix of the rural and the suburban. I think it's actually a really unique quality of Canton. There's a Target, there's a Walmart, there's shopping, there's great restaurants here. There are really beautiful 500, 600, 700, 900,000 new construction houses going up. But there's also a lot of farmland with people with cows and horses and miniature horses and alpaca. These two things can and are often right next to each other. You'll drive by and see vast acres of land, and then right next to it is going to be a beautiful neighborhood that just popped up. All of these things are blended in together. So if you're looking for, I just want my space, everybody is 5 acres apart, I don't see anybody, that's not really here. If you're looking for the shopping mall every 5 minutes, that's not here either. I think it's actually quite the beautiful mix between that country feel, but there's a Target and a steakhouse and a world-class hospital right down the road. One of the biggest advantages is that Canton has Northside Cherokee Hospital located right in the middle of exits 16 and 19 off of 575. You can take Highway 20 and go south at Canton Marketplace, or you can take 140 and go north at Northside Cherokee Drive. Northside Cherokee is a great hospital. It's part of the Northside family of hospitals around Atlanta. There's Cherokee, Forsyth, Atlanta, Duluth, as well as a lot of smaller medical centers scattered everywhere. These hospitals offer really good care and service. I actually have a client who's very into holistic healing and therapy and things, very unconventional stuff. He's been to this hospital and even he is like, yeah, this place is great. It took really good care of me. If you're elderly, maybe you're retiring here, maybe you have a loved one with some medical needs, maybe you just like to have the peace of mind. This can be a really huge benefit to be in proximity of. So I mentioned the growth earlier, and while there are a lot of benefits to it, there are also some drawbacks. Canton is growing maybe just a little too fast for some people's liking. This used to be a quiet, small town, which is now turning into another sprawling suburb, and not everyone is thrilled about it. The population has absolutely exploded over the past decade, and with that comes endless new subdivisions. Places like Hickory Flat, Macedonia, which used to be mostly farmland and forests, are now packed with, some cookie cutter houses and shopping centers. Feels like every time you blink, another piece of land is being cleared for construction, and for some, this is not what they signed up for. And with all these new people moving in, traffic gets a little bit worse. Roads like 575, Highway 20, East Cherokee Drive are getting a lot more congested than what they used to be, and the infrastructure is having a hard time keeping up. Sure, having a Target or a Starbucks 5 minutes away is super nice, but some folks miss the charm of a town that wasn't covered in chain stores and parking lots. Another big concern is the cost of living. As Canton grows, so do home prices and rent and property taxes, making it harder for some locals to afford to stay in the area. A lot of people worry it's becoming the next Alpharetta or Woodstock. More expensive, more crowded, and less of the peaceful, laid-back town that it used to be. Now, while progress has a lot of its perks, there's a real fear that Canton is losing its original identity in the process. Now, for some, Canton is just too far away from Atlanta and everything else. If you're hitting up the Avalon in Alpharetta often, or you have season tickets to the Braves or the Falcons or the Hawks, if you're looking for that nightlife on the weekends, if you're commuting into Atlanta for work, Lord help you if you are, if you travel often and need to get to the airport on a weekly basis, Canton is going to be kind of a huge pain and it's going to get really frustrating. Like I mentioned before, there are really good access roads that will get you to where you want effectively, but if you are visiting these places, I would say very often, you're gonna need to look further south. Prices will get higher the further south you go, so you'll need to weigh convenience and price accordingly. Now, if you're thinking, yes, that sounds exactly what I've been looking for, reach out. We'll get that relocation process started right away. If you're thinking, maybe this isn't for me, then you can check out this playlist right here. Got vlogs, map tours, and guides so you can learn all about all of these different suburbs. Or even better, give me a call. We can chat about it directly. I'll see you in the next one.